Okay, who's ready for day 8? Hello and welcome back to day 8 of the 12 days of crochet. What's that hand doing? So far we've made the 6-spotted ladybug, the blue banded bee, a snail, a rosy maple moth, a dragonfly, the orchid mantis, and yesterday we made the Japanese emperor caterpillar. So today, let's open up the box and see. Guys, the wrong bug is in the box. Okay, I'm gonna level with you. I put the wrong bug in the box. Or I've got the right bug in the box, I've just read you the wrong clue. I must have changed the order after I boxed them up. I'm gonna have to work out now what order I filmed them in. Okay, so, the bug was right, the clue was wrong, but that's okay, I can fix that in editing and you'll never know. Alright, so the clue for today was boots and snoots. Do you reckon you got it correct? Let's open up the box and see. Today we are making a little acorn weevil. Look at that texture. Just admire that texture for me for a moment, okay? Because I've never done quite as many iterations of a pattern as it took to get to this little guy. Don't forget to hang around to the end of the video to get a clue as to who we're making on day 9. I have literally an entire bucket of like weevils where I've had to adjust the legs or change the body shape or change the nose. And even this isn't the final nose. The nose we're doing today is going to be slightly shorter, but just very, very excited to show you this texture that we're doing for the back because he's made all in one piece. Okay, so to make our little acorn weevil, you're going to need 8-ply 100% acrylic yarn in whatever colours you please, but I will be using pale yellow and a bright yellow today. Now this is a no-sew pattern, but you can also have a scrap amount of white and a needle handy to add a couple of details to the eyes if you'd like to. You're also going to need a pair of 9mm safety eyes and some stuffing. And in terms of tools, you're just going to need a 3.5mm hook and some scissors. I feel like he uses this proboscis to like annoy his siblings long distance. Okay, and we're going to start in our bright yellow, which from this point onwards, this is just going to be called yellow, and that's going to be pale yellow. And we're going to make a magic ring. So in this very first row, we have to build the nose pretty much straight away. So we're going to start by making 4 single crochet into the magic ring. 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're then going to chain 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And if you want your nose longer than the way mine turns out, you can add more chains here. It won't have any impact on the rest of the pattern. You can just make this chained piece and the subsequent stitches we work into it a little bit longer. We're then going to picot to turn. And so all that means is we're going to chain 3 more. So 1, 2, 3, and then slip stitch in the 3rd chain from our hook. Like so. We're then going to turn and work 7 slip stitches, and this is important, through both loops of our chain. Now, normally when we're just working into our chain, we just pick up the loop on the front and it's no big deal. But if you look down at your chain, you'll see that there's actually a loop on either side. So what I'm going to do is insert my hook through both loops, and this can be a little bit fiddly. I'll grab the back loop first, and then the loop I'd normally work into. So it's like this, and then on the back you've got just like 1 strand of the chain left. And I'm going to slip stitch through them. Now if you cannot work out this process, or it's too hard or too fiddly for you to be getting any joy from it, just slip stitch into the chains the way you normally would. It's just be prepared for your nose to be slightly broader across than the way mine is. It's 2. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that is his snoot. That's what it looks like. And working through both sides of the chain like that gives you it's still kind of stretchy and kind of floopy, but like it's a far denser, more condensed string of stitches than you would otherwise get. And that picot to turn is giving him just that little bulb on the end of it. And you just know he's very busy poking into other people's business. So with the nose formed, we're going to work one more single crochet into our magic ring and pull that magic ring shut. So we have 5 single crochet in our magic ring and our nose, which we will not be working into again. Row 2, we're going to work 5 increases around, and that is just into the stitches that we worked into the magic ring. Now I do work invisible increases, which just means the first stitch of my increase goes through the front loop only, and the second stitch goes through both loops. It's just a preference thing. You can work your increases however you please. Okay, so that's 4 increases up to the side of the nose. Then we are folding that nose forward and out of the way so that we can work behind it. And our final increase goes on the opposite side of the nose. And there we are at the end of row 2. Row 3 is just 10 single crochet around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So it's basically his head done. In row 4, we're going to work 10 front post single crochet around, changing to our pale yellow in the 10th stitch. Now, so far we've just been working stitches through the loops at the top of the stitch, but stitches also have this little stem or post. And when you work front post single crochet, you insert your hook from the front of the work around that post, back to the front of the work, and work your stitch accordingly. Now, this pattern, I would say, is like 90% front post single crochet. If you do not enjoy front post single crochet, you probably won't enjoy this pattern because I think its success hinges on the use of front post single crochet. I don't think you can substitute the way I normally would let you. Oh no, I moved everything. Okay, disclaimer, disclaimer, disclaimer out of the way. How you identify the first stitch to post stitch around, because you might think it's this one here, but you'd be wrong. What you do is you find the next set of loops you would work through normally, and you follow that set of loops down, and this is the post we're going to work around, not this one, which, if you follow the logic, we've actually worked into the loops on top of that post already. So, inserting our hook around the first post, we're going to work 9 front post single crochet around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's 9. And this is our 10th one. And we are going to work a 10th one, but we're going to use it to change our colors. Now, we don't do many color changes in this pattern, but we do a couple. So how you work a color change is you insert your hook around the post of the stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop. So you've got 2 loops of your old color on your hook. Hold that old color out of the way and grab a strand of your new color. Pinch it at the base of the stitch on the inside of the work, yarn over and pull through both loops on your hook, and just tug on your old color and your new color to scooch that stitch down into place. And what that's left us with is a front post single crochet completely in our yellow, but our pale yellow is now on our hook, ready to go. And we're going to pause at this moment and insert our safety eyes, because after this point it gets even squishier and squashier in there and we just kind of need to get ahead of it. So I'm just going to pull my magic ring as tightly as possible without snapping the yarn. There we go. and looking straight at that magical little sphincter so that the nose is facing towards me. I'm going to insert my eyes basically on either side of that magic ring so that the nose is in between. Because if you look at little weevil faces, and I'll put a photo up on the screen for you, they have big round black eyes. They've got big round peepers, but they are quite close to each other and they look straight down the nose at you, but we don't take that personally. And that's going to work better for me today. So yeah, we had our starting position on either side of the magic ring, and then I've just moved one of my eyes out one row because it's giving me a more balanced looking head. Just really trust the positioning of the nose for this one. Just tiny little elephants. Gonna pop it in the wrong way, snap the backs on, or not. Ooh, y'all, did we just get a clicky sound? Ha! We did! I'm onto a different bag of eyes now, but they all came in the same shipment. I guess these backs just fit better. Oh, that's exciting. This whole series with not a single clicky sound, and then suddenly 2 of them on the same day. Truly, we have been blessed by the Weevil. Okay, so remembering that we're working in our pale yellow now, we are going to work in the back loop only for the next round. So if we look at the loops on top of our stitch, you'll see that there is a loop on the side facing us and a loop on the side facing away. And we're going to work just in the loop on the side facing away. And we're going to start by working 3 repeats of an increase, and then 2 single crochet. So there's our first repeat. We're going to do that 2 more times. And then we have 1 final single crochet into the back loops only to finish our round. So that's 1 full circle of pale yellow around the head. Row 6 looks more complicated than it is, but we're basically going to be making his first pair of legs. So we're going back to working through both loops now. So we're going to start by working 2 repeats of 3 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, and an increase. There's our first one. We're going to do that again. We're then going to work 2 single crochet, 1 and 2, leading us to the underside of the head. We're off to one side still, but I like this bit. Ready? Oh, it's got a little mouth, just a tiny little mouth. And we're going to build the first leg. Now I'm not going to be using stitch markers for this process today, but if we learned anything from the praying mantis, it's that you can make this whole process a lot easier on yourself if you mark the stitch before the leg and the stitch after the leg so that you can find them later. So to make our first little leg, we are going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We're going to turn and slip stitch into the second chain from our hook. We're then going to picot, which is chaining 3 and slip stitching into the first chain that we worked. It's giving him some little boots. And we should have 3 stitches left in our original chain, and we're going to work a slip stitch into each of them. So 1, 2, and 3. So that is our first little leggy. So that is our first little leg. We're then going to go back to working in the stitches of our round and work 3 single crochet across. 1, 2, 3, and we're going to work our second little leg. So chaining 5, turn and slip stitch in the second chain from our hook, picot, and 3 slip stitches back down the chain. 1, 2, 3. So now he can do the can-can. And I know when I hold it like this, the head looks really, really crooked, but keep in mind this leg is going to be anchored to the next stitch, which just immediately kind of straightens everything out a little bit. So in row 7, we're going to start with a single crochet, changing back to our yellow. As mentioned, that's going to anchor that foot properly to one side. Then in our yellow, we are going to work 11 single crochet in the back loop only, changing back to our pale yellow in the 11th stitch. Now that's a lot of instructions, but let's break it down. Let's start by working 10 single crochet in the back loops only. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and this is 10. We're then going to work one more single crochet in the back loop only, changing back to our pale yellow. Now going back to working through both loops, we are going to work 3 single crochet across his tummy. 1, 2, and 3. And that's the end of our round. And that is the end of our bright yellow, so we can trim that off now. So now starts the front post single crochet, which is basically every stitch from this point onwards, except for the legs. So row 8 is going to start with 12 front post single crochet. So what we do is, there's a leg in the way, so we fold that leg out of the way, and we find the next stitch we would otherwise work into, which is this little pale yellow one. And we're going to work around the post of it instead, which can be a little bit squishy, but nevertheless, it is accomplishable. And we work our front post single crochet. So there is our first one, and we're going to do 11 more of those around. 2, 3, 10, 11, and 12. So that brings us back down into his armpit, and we're going to make his second set of legs. So they are made exactly the same way as the first. We're going to chain 5. Turn and slip stitch into the second chain from our hook. Picot. And then 3 slip stitches back down the chain. 1, 2, 3. We're then going to work 3 front post single crochet across his belly. 1, 2, and 3, and make his fourth little leg. So chain 5, turn and slip stitch in the second chain from your hook, picot, and 3 slip stitches back down the chain. 1, 2, and 3. So now he has 4 little leggies. He looks like a little upright potato man. Whips his nose back and forth. He whips his nose back and forth. Row 9 is then just 15 front post single crochet around. And because we're just working front post on front post at this point, I think it's actually really easy to see exactly where you're supposed to stitch, because we're just forming these lovely little lines. Don't be too worried if your work is like curling over and looking like a strange shape, because mine is too. See, look how it's folding back on itself. When we finish stitching and we stuff it, we basically uncurl that and it reveals the texture within. So 15. See what I mean about it like bunching up? But when you like stick your finger and stretch it outwards, it's fine. it's fine. Row 10 starts with 12 front post single crochet around, so fold the leg out of the way, find the first front post after it, and work 12. 1, 2, 3. And I will caution, when working these front posts, be sure that you're working around like the most recent row's front post and not one of the ones further back. And you can be sure about this by using the loops as a guide. So when I'm inserting my hook around the stitch, I'm inserting it just under one set of loops around that post and coming out just under the next set of loops so that I know I'm working my front post as far down the post as I'm supposed to be. Because you could also feasibly like work it anywhere along this post and it would technically still work up as a stitch, but it would not give you the same shape as what we're getting here. So yeah, make sure you're keeping your hook right near the ends of these loops. So that's 12. And we're going to make the first little back leg, which is different to the other legs. So we're going to start by chaining 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. We're going to turn and slip stitch in the second chain from our hook. Then we're going to work a picot, so the little feet are the same. That's what we've done there. Then going back to working in our chain, we're going to work 2 slip stitches. 1 and 2. So then we have 4 chains left and we're going to skip the next 2 and then just work slip stitches in the final 2. 1 and 2. And the reason that we do that is, you'll see it's given us this little elbow or knee. It's bent our base chain, which is good. It gives a little bit of energy to those back legs, the main hopping legs. And we then have just 3 front post single crochet back to the start of our round. Row 11 starts with a front post single crochet. And then we are going to make the final leg. So it's also a back leg. We're going to chain 8, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Turn and slip stitch in the second chain from our hook. Work a picot. And 2 slip stitches down the chain. Skip the next 2 chains and then work 2 slip stitches to the end of our leg. There we go. There is our final leg of our journey. Aha. Then we finish row 11 by working 14 front post single crochet around. 11, fold that leg forward and out of the way. 12, 13, and 14. Please note, because we moved this leg out, we now have 1 stitch before the leg at the end of the row. In row 12, we are going to start curling this in again. It looks like a little, I don't know. I don't know what he looks like, but it's funny. Again, all of this will be pulled down and into position. It's actually quite stretchy too, which is nice. So row 12, we start with a front post single crochet. Then we fold the leg forward and we're going to work a front post decrease. I don't know if this is a thing that exists, but I assume it does. So how I work front post decreases is we insert our hook around the post of the next stitch around, we yarn over and we pull up a loop, and then we insert our hook around the post of the next stitch and yarn over and pull up a loop, leaving us with 3 loops on our hook. We then yarn over and complete our front post decrease. So yeah, that feels like it should be a thing. If it's called something else, do please let me know. Sometimes I'm just like, a lot of the time I'm just flying by the seat of my pants. So we're then going to work 2 front post single crochet, 1 and 2, and then another front post decrease, 2 front post single crochet, and a front post decrease. Then it's just 4 front post single crochet back to the start of our round. you should have just 12 stitches in your round, and we haven't stuffed yet. You can stuff whenever you feel comfortable. I'm going to work one more row and then we'll stuff it. So row 13 is 4 front post decreases. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 4 front post single crochet back to the start of our round. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So at this point, with our little weevil finger puppet, we're going to stop and stuff. And this is again one that you should stuff relatively firmly, making sure that you get that stuffing all the way down into the head. Give it a good squish to move that stuffing around. And look at that wonderful texture. We worked our rows horizontally, but still managed to get vertical stripes. I'm very excited about this. I mean, anybody who makes like garments or blankets are probably like rolling their eyes right now and being like, yeah, duh. But still, that if we can work stitches this way and this way, all in the same row, the applications that has for making like checkered print fabric is really interesting to me. And it's probably a Tunisian thing or a corner to corner thing, but like I'm discovering it, and the joy of discovery is intense on this little fellow. So I'm just going to give his legs a little bit of a tug to settle them into place. You want these ones here to kind of bend backwards. So I'm just like grabbing and twisting. So we have just one more round to work, and we're going to work 4 front post decreases around, bringing our round down to just 4 stitches. 2, 3, and 4, and finish off. Then I'm just going to weave my remaining yarn around those final 4 stitches and pull tight to close. And tuck that end away. I'm just going to jostle these legs around one final time. Give the nose a little bit of a tug to settle it down too. And there is our little Acorn Weevil friend. And he's very cute. I'm so relieved that he looks like this and not any of the other 15 ways he almost looked. So, as mentioned, this is a completely optional step, but I am just going to add some little whites to his eyes just because I do think it gives a lot of character. Like so, and there is our actual finished little Acorn Weevil. Which brings us to the end of day 8. Oh, look at that texture. It's glorious. You'll see. You've probably made one for yourself. Hello. He's got his boots, he's got his snoots, and he's awfully cute. You can go right there. Don't harass your siblings too much, okay? So there is our finished little Weevil. He came out very, very cute, okay? He's just a cute little guy. All right, okay. I know what you're all still here for. You want to know who we're making on day number 9. Your clue is what we call them changes depending on how many there are. If you think you know the answer, let me know in the comments down below and I'll tally them all up and let you know how many people guessed correctly tomorrow. So in terms of colours, I am going to be using just grass green tomorrow, but I actually think this is another one of those patterns that would lend itself quite nicely to a variegated yarn. There's a few different bugs that would do that. I think this is one of them. So yeah, I hope to see you then. Okay, bye!